Hello and happy new year, everybody. 2026, we ready, y'all. I hope you all had a lovely festive season and ready to show the world that you have arrived. Today's guest is Tya Bolton, founder of Exceptional Business Solutions and a North Carolina hub business owner with over 20 years of experience transforming how organizations work. Here's what makes Tya's work so powerful. Through Exceptional Business Solutions, she provides international event production, community engagement strategies, non-profit management, and entrepreneurship training that allows businesses, organizations, and government agencies not just to survive, but thrive. Her expertise in developing community partnerships, streamlining processes, and board development has made her a go-to resource for organizations ready to scale their impact. This conversation gave me goosebumps, and I know it will inspire you too. So without further ado, let's welcome the incredible Tya Bolton. Hi, Tya. It's such a pleasure having you here with us today. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to be here.
So, Tya, I want to start with a powerful statement you made. You said you were chosen by the ancestors to be a legacy maker. Can you talk about that feeling of being called to a purpose larger than yourself and how it guides your life and work?
Yeah, everything is interconnected. It's a really great question. So I truly believe in standing on the shoulders of giants. And my ancestors endured so many hardships so that I could have opportunities that they could only dream about. And I know that to be true because at one time there were 6 generations. My great-great-grandmother was 103 when she passed away. So from my great-great all the way down to my niece who was born before she passed, there were 6 generations around at the same time on my maternal side. This is about honoring their sacrifices by ensuring that like my life's work opens doors for others. That's really important. And it honestly guides me in every decision that I make, whether it's business, community work, or family. So I'm constantly asking myself, how will this create that ripple effect for generations to come? How is legacy going to be created from this decision that I'm going to make? And is it good legacy or bad legacy? Because not all legacy is good. And how is it that I can achieve it with others? Because legacy is not sustainable if you go it alone. And so I want this to outlive me. I have children and grandchildren, and beyond their lifespan, I want this to be a game changer for everybody.
Wait, did you say you have grandchildren?
I do. My 3rd grandbaby was just born this year, so he's 7 months, and 4th grandbaby will be born in December or sooner.
Wow, I can't believe you're a grandma. I think you are a grandma. That's what I'll call you.
Oh my God. They call me Yeye, which means great mother in African Yoruba tradition. So my oldest is 32, and then I have 30 and 25. Those are my children. And then I have almost 4 grandbabies now.
Wow, you said Yoruba tradition, and that's really interesting. But I think what I found more interesting is you saying that you had 6 generations of your family still around at the same time,
Yeah.
and how that is propelling you to think about your legacies to the next generation. That really says a lot about you. So that calling is reflected in how you run your business. You make a distinction between your paid work and the countless in-kind services you provide annually. How do you balance the demands of being a profitable CEO with your deep personal commitment to service?
That's also a great question. So running a business, I've had to be intentional about drawing a line between paid work and the in-kind contributions. But the truth is, like, both serve my own personal mission, which is to be the legacy maker and the changer for the family. So the profit allows me to keep the doors open and employ others. And then the service allows me to pour back into the community that raised me, that I want to be here for my children and grandchildren. And so I view them as all interconnected. My in-kind hours and contributions, I am always donating to other nonprofits and to other causes. They're like planting seeds. They're planting seeds for something bigger and greater, and they don't always return in the form of revenue. I may not even see the return myself, but I know that at some point there will be a return. And so they come in a form of relationships and influence and impact. But balance happens when you kind of treat service not as a distraction from profit, but as an investment for long-term purpose.
Wow, I absolutely love that. It's just watching how you've aligned your business to the service in kind, because you're using the profit to drive the service. And that helps that symbiotic relationship build your commitments.
Thank you. That's great. The profit allows me to be able to do that. So we don't, negotiate prices with clients. The price is the price. People don't walk into Gucci and ask for a discount. And so the price is the price, right? But that allows me to help build that legacy and to pour back into others. So.
Okay, so can you reflect on an experience from your community engagement work that has stuck with you? Is there an encounter or a particular moment that paints a picture of the impact your work has?
So my first example is more localized here in Charlotte. In the community engagement work, for instance, there was a grant program that just ended last year. Wells Fargo had $20 million to fund small businesses over a 3-year period through grants, so that money did not have to be repaid. And my team was a consultant for the community engagement. And so there were some areas within Charlotte that we were focused on where we knew the businesses were, so that we could help them understand how this could completely change their lives, how they could access the grant, how to have a solid, strong application, what the uses of the grant were for, and how that could help them to get more customers, how to do better with storytelling so that the person reviewing that application would be very clear and have no questions about, yes, this is going to create transformation for this, not only the business and the business owner, but for the community around it. Nice. And so I trained my team and deployed a team for 3 years so that these businesses could get grants that range from $10,000 to $150,000. And I still see these businesses today. They still stay in touch with me, the ones who received it, and even some of the ones who didn't, just thankful for the assistance, because not only did them understanding how to prepare for that grant application help them, what they didn't necessarily realize at the time was that that's also the same type of package and storytelling if you're going to be applying for a loan or another grant somewhere else, right? And so just being able to see the new kind of implementations that they have been able to bring onto their business because of the grant. Mm-hmm. One of the constituents actually was able to buy a whole new truck for his towing business, which allowed him to then go into other states and add a whole new line of income. I've also seen them do things like repave their parking lots, renovate the inside of their buildings, which now makes it more attractive for people to come. So when you are changing somebody's life in that way, buying a whole new truck that's like $100,000, they're getting renovations that they wouldn't otherwise have been able to afford. Now they feel better about being in their space. That's the impact that I want to leave behind. Those are the transformational tools, and really being a good listener in the engagement space that allows you to make sure they get it and that we are doing the work that we were called to do. So small business grants here in Charlotte is one example. And I would say another example that's more on a global scale was the first sister city exchange that I was able to build in Ghana. So I lived in Maryland, and we built the sister city exchange between Columbia, Maryland and Tema, Ghana. And it was just so amazing being able to bring people with us from Columbia, being able to develop that exchange so that we could bring librarians and educators from Ghana to Maryland, and vice versa, being able to raise money and to have donations, books and so forth sent to them, to visit the villages, to visit the leaders. It was just a very transformational space to be able to see this is how it actually gets done, right? And what that's going to change for those villages in Ghana where we actually were able to go into. So those are areas where we're like, okay, we understood the problem. We went into those spaces. we totally created a transformational opportunity. And that goes on for years to come. That Sister City Exchange is inked. It will not end. Like, that is it. That's what's going to be happening. And now other people are carrying that forward.
That must be so rewarding for you to just see how you plant a seed and watch it grow into trees. I love the initiative in Charlotte, and you must have seen how businesses have grown just from giving them advice on how to present themselves for grants and providing books and visiting leaders in Ghana. It sets like a very authentic, well-rooted, engagement with the community. I absolutely love that. So what did it feel like to have that lifetime of often unseen work, over 4,000 hours of it, recognized on a national stage with the President's Lifetime Achievement Award?
That sounds crazy to even say, like 4,000 hours. It happens. I've been doing this work for so long, so many decades, and I think it's important for people to receive their flowers while they're still around to smell them. And so it was game changing to be recognized at that kind of like federal level. Like, this was part of an executive order that created this program, and historic because I believe that this will be the last one to ever be had, because our current administration won't, delve into these kinds of programs that honor people, right? And I don't know if it'll ever be picked back up, but to receive on a national stage the recognition for the work that I've been doing. You don't always get a thank you. You don't always get some kind of receipt for the work that you do, but you know that it's like your heart's purpose. So I'm driven by that like purpose-driven mindset. And it just felt like confirmation that nothing is really unseen. Even if it feels like it's unseen, somebody's always watching. I got nominated for it. It was amazing. And it just reminds me that the recognition isn't the goal. It really is about perseverance and consistency. So that award belongs as much to the communities that I serve as it does to be recognized for have led the efforts and to done the work.
It's so admirable how you choose servitude over recognition.
Thank you.
And it just demonstrates that you are gaining recognition that validates all the work that you're doing, but it's not necessarily the key driver for you. And I love that. So let's talk about your recent global MBA, which you beautifully described as a dream deferred since 1995. You put that dream on hold, first as a teen mom of 2, and later when you were just 3 classes away from finishing, to focus on your family and business. What did that journey teach you about sacrifice and your philosophy that things always happen at the right time?
Yeah, so I am a recovering control freak, and I think that my journey has always been about timing. And so being a teen mom, as you said, at 15 and 17, and then I did so many things early. I completed like buying my first home and my first car and all of that stuff, and was married with all my 3 children by like 21 or 22. So I think I kind of like did other things so quickly, but this was the one thing that I just couldn't seem to find the momentum to quite finish. And, life demanded so many things that I had to focus on for my family. I was losing my dad of colon cancer and was going through a divorce. And I just was like, you know what? I gotta focus on this business. I can't focus on school anymore, just being 3 classes away. And so I said, all right, if ever there's a time to do it, I'll do it. But right now, this isn't stopping me from getting contracts, making money, and so forth. And then I had this aha moment in 2023. My kids are all grown and out the house. And I said, you know what? I can actually do this. I can afford to pay this tuition in full and not have to worry about any kind of like scholarships or student loans and things like that. I have the capacity to do it. I've got the flexibility. I've got the team to support the other work where I can't get that stuff done if I'm focused on the MBA. And so it just came in a moment where like my global perspective, my leadership, and my sense of purpose all aligned. And I was like, this is the time. So sacrifice taught me patience, and patience taught me that everything unfolds when it's supposed to.
Yeah. It's amazing how you got to that time where you could afford to go on the program, as well as your children had left home. So you had all the time to give to this global MBA. So
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree.
You said you pursued the credentials I deserve to put behind my name, even though you were already a highly successful CEO. What did the MBA give you internally that decades of real-world success and experience couldn't?
So I would say experience gave me grit, but the MBA gave me grounding. So for years, I walked into boardrooms with confidence. I've built boards, I've been on boards, but there was still that quiet voice asking if I truly belonged, because the criteria to be involved in some of the work that I've been in was you need to have a degree, you need this. And somehow I just always found my way in those rooms, without the degree and without everything else that was required. And so there are some ways where not having that degree could make you feel a bit like there's an imposter syndrome situation happening. Do I really belong in this room? Right. And so it's no, I've done this work. I've earned these credentials well before I even got the MBA, right? But more importantly, it just kind of validates that my seat at the table is not a favor, that it was earned. And I also expanded, my global network. I wouldn't have met you had it not been for this lovely, and I was very intentional about a global MBA program because my work is global and it really is my passion. And so I remember meeting you when you came into one of our classes to just be a guest speaker. And I was so moved by what you were saying. And then I met you again at graduation. I was like, I love this girl. So I met so many great people. The professors have really guided me to say these are things that I can see you creating as you advance in your work in Africa and so forth. And I'm like, oh my God, I so appreciate that alignment, the introductions. And so it's just sharpened my instincts. It's improved some frameworks that I didn't have access to before. And then it's just the structure and how I can teach some of the things that I've learned to others and implement that into my work.
I love every time you say you want to teach others. It just shows that given nature that you have. And yes, with an MBA, it's so transformational and you start to think differently. So yeah, it's definitely worth it. Definitely. That journey has given you a deep well of expertise. I'd love to tap into some of the practical wisdom. You published the Art of Delegation worksheet. What is the first most crucial step for a leader who knows they need to delegate but is afraid to let go?
Yeah, I know it's hard for leaders because you feel like if I want it done right, I have to do it myself. And that's you just kind of get in your own way and you stunt your growth. And so when I'm working with leaders and we start thinking through delegation, I always ask what is it that you absolutely love to do? And what is it that you absolutely don't want to touch again? And then what is it that you have to do? Because sometimes we have to do things even if we don't love to do it. So I've created this worksheet that allows them to kind of go through their days, kind of calculating and documenting what you do over a few days or a week's period of time, and think through what you love, what you don't love, what someone else can do. How much does it cost you to do it versus having someone else on the team to do it? And when they look at numbers, leaders like numbers. And so when they can see the numbers, the hours that they would save, the amount of money that would be reserved because they're not spending their time on it, then it becomes a bit more of a no-brainer to be able to delegate. I hired my daughter full time. So my middle child, oldest daughter, works with me every day, and her 7-month-old baby travels all around the world with us, implementing these projects. But I have to trust the process. I have employees, I have contractors, and the reality is that it's a gift. Delegation gives you freedom, and freedom is a gift. And so I have to look at it that way. I try to help other people to understand that as well. And it just empowers others to really grow into their potential when they have that freedom to think. You can't even think straight if all you're doing is work, and you're working in the business as opposed to on the business. So when I have the freedom to think, now I can grow this thing in ways that I couldn't even wrap my mind around before.
Most leaders need to understand that empowerment does come from delegation, and it means that they can focus on their core and grow the business in areas that matter. Yeah, and then we find that a lot of leaders just take way too much on and they burn out.
I love that, Lolita. And I think the other thing that I feel like I have to say is, I'm in my late 40s and I've been seeing so many people just not making it, transitioning early with heart attacks and strokes, and people who I personally know. And so even more important than what I said before is like the health aspect. I think we often go into entrepreneurship so that we can have freedom and flexibility, but you will never work so hard for yourself as you will for anybody else. So it's the most hardest working thing you'll do, but the stress that can come along with that and the time commitment when there's like no boundary around when you start and stop and you're doing it at home and on the weekends. And so I would just encourage everybody to like take the time to figure out how to work smarter and play harder. How to delegate so that you are not putting that stress on yourself. Don't be the next statistic of the next heart attack or the next stroke because there's not balance in the work that you have to do versus you just trying to control everything and not being ready to delegate it.
I agree with you 100%. So earlier you mentioned how you helped organizations in Charlotte to qualify for access to a Wells Fargo grant. You said you helped them to do better with storytelling so that their impact could be seen clearly by the funder. For the person who is listening, who is doing impact-related work, what would you say to them about the necessity of careful, intentional storytelling in ensuring the work they're doing gets to the right ears?
I love that. That is such a great question. So, I've gotten to a place in my business where I only do impact-based work. So if someone comes to me and asks me to do something, again, I'm clear on what my mission, my purpose is. If it doesn't make impact, I say no to it. And so for anyone who was in that same space of wanting to make the impact, what you say, how you show up, and what you do means everything. People are already making a judgment about you before you open your mouth. And so people will always come to me and talk about, like, for instance, my glasses is something that people know me by, my clothes, right? They know that I'm going to show up a certain way, and it creates an opportunity for conversation. And so because I know that has also become part of my brand. So it's like, you have to think about what's your personal brand and how does that play into everything. People know how I'm going to step into a room when I step into a room. And so I don't let people down. Like, I don't stray away from what that is. So being clear about who you are, being clear about how that gets projected, whether that's like what you physically have on and then the words that you say, people expect that from you. And you have to be intentional about clear, concise statements. So people do not have a long attention span. And this year, this kind of era of like social media, and people are like, I don't even know if people know how to speak in complete sentences anymore. Like, if you look at a text chain, everything is abbreviated. I'm like, what does this new thing mean? I don't even know what this means. But we have to remember that humans need to have regular dialect, and speaking in languages that are universal is really important. So making sure that you're using like the key words that are relevant to the people that you want to help and you're making the impact for, that you can very clearly have an elevator pitch that resonates with people, that you are holding every opportunity to do something up to, is this in alignment with my personal mission or no? Those are all things that are like really, really important. And then just making sure that you are showing the social proof of that. I always talk about social proof. So if I get an opportunity to be in a room or be on a stage, then I'm going to take a picture. They call me the selfie queen. I'll take a picture from the stage and post it. And so people know that I'm going to do that when they bring me into a space. And so that's another thing. They know how I'm going to show up. They know I have that phone, and the iPhone users don't like, they're like, oh my God, you have the better camera. So please take it and send it to us. I'm like, I know, Team Android. And so it's important to just make sure that you're being authentic, that you're not trying to use buzzwords per se, but that you are using words that are real lingo of the community that you are wanting to make the impact for. So those are really, really critical pieces to make sure you get into the right spaces. And I'll give you some examples of how I got into spaces by doing that if you want to hear one. So a few years ago, I got a call. I kept getting emails and from Facebook, now Meta, and I ignored them because I thought they were spam. I was like, they're not reaching out to me for real. Like, I'm just going to keep deleting these messages. And then one day I got a phone call and I was like, this says Facebook. They can't be calling me. So I answered the phone. I'm like, good afternoon. This is Tya. And they're like, hi, this is such and such from Facebook. And I'm like, hold please. So I put them on hold. I Googled the phone number and I'm like, oh, it's really Facebook. So I come back and I'm like, hey, how can I help you? And what they were saying was that they had this new group, which was called then it was called the Facebook Leaders Network. I think it's now the Meta Leaders Network. But they basically found leaders online who were using Facebook actively to invite them into a private, exclusive space where they gave us opportunities for beta testing. They gave us gifts. They allowed us to travel to different conferences on their behalf. And then we could also go and advocate on behalf of small businesses. So we would go to DC, we would go, and lobby for different things. And I was like, all this because I showed up, because I put social proof out there. And now I have this opportunity that you can't pay for. You just have to be invited into that space. Similarly, I got a call from Amazon. Again, I was like, Amazon is calling me. They invited me to be in their Amazon Black Business Accelerator. So then that gave me another vehicle of income to be able to activate some products on Amazon because I was part of that program. They gave us the money to promote the products and all the things. And it just, all of that from showing up, speaking the language that is natural for me to be speaking about based on the work that I do, and being authentic to like, this is it. This is what I'm bringing to the table. This is the transformation that we create, and people will just find you.
It's incredible because, you showed up, you put yourself out there, and it just shows the power of visibility, stepping out and saying, hey, here I am. And to be discovered by Amazon and Facebook just gives a pure example of how you showed up and you were seen.
Thank you. Yeah, it's almost like disbelief. You're like, they can't be calling me. But they were, right? And so it's like, I deserve to be here. I earned this. Yes. So just having that, like, I always say, keep your crown straight, right? Like, make sure you don't get confused, right? Make sure that crown is on correctly, because you have to show up in that space every day.
Absolutely. So, in your work with community engagement, what's the difference between a company that is just performative versus the one that is building truly authentic and impactful relationships?
I think that performative engagement is more transactional. It looks like maybe a press release, a one-time donation, or just checking a box that says that you helped a community or a certain demographic of people. And I think that being authentic in the engagement helps you to remember that this is all about transformation, and you can't go into somebody else's house and tell them how to run their house. So if I'm going to do a community engagement project, I have to meet with the people who actually live and work there to know, like, what's ailing you and what are the solutions that you would love to implement if money were not an issue? What do you think brings about change and transformation for generations to come? And so being an active listener, engaging, it's a collaborative effort. You cannot do community engagement in a silo. Bringing in the community partners, the sponsors, making sure that at every level, all the stakeholders are co-creating solutions. I think that's really important and transformational in the distinction between performative versus authentic. So the real question becomes, like, are we showing up for the photo op, or are we showing up for the people?
Right.
That's the question to ask.
Right. Yeah. I think Performative becomes very, very obvious after a little while anyway. So it's quite clear when the connection is not deeply authentic or impactful. You talk about making purposeful pivots. For someone listening who feels a calling to do more, but is stuck on a traditional path, what is the first step they can take to start pivoting towards a life of greater meaning and legacy?
I think reflection is the key to everything. Before you pivot, you have to ask, like, what's the call of my life and what can I no longer ignore? You can try to avoid and you can try to ignore and you can try to postpone your calling, but it's just going to come to you in different ways and become more and more intense until you actually accept the call. So take one small aligned action. Don't wait until you have the entire map. I like to say that done is better than perfect. I am also a recovering perfectionist. And so I know that I could have gotten a lot farther, a lot faster had I just released things sooner and trusted the process, because I always critique my own processes more because I'm like, oh, how does this compare to my clients' work that I can't put something out into the community that is not aligned and not have all the steps in order, right? But done is better than perfect because somebody needs it. You can always go back and pivot. So I think, clarity comes into motion, and purposeful pivots are less about abandoning a path and more about like aligning with your deeper truth. So it takes courage, but reflection is the first step.
Yeah, definitely. I can see where you're coming from with the reflection. It's a lot of deep analysis. It's understanding your inner leadership and your voice. What is it telling you in terms of what you need to do? So if you're pivoting, I always say, you can't figure everything out. Just go for it. And being a recovering perfectionist myself, I totally understand. So for the woman listening right now who has her own dream deferred, something she had put on the back burner for her family, her finances, or her career, what is your advice for keeping that dream alive and knowing when the right time has finally come to pursue it?
So I would say, first, don't bury the dream. Keep feeding it. Make sure that you're doing things to actively keep it alive, like writing about it, talking about it, nurturing it, researching more that you need to do and know before you fully launch it or activate it, so that you can actually get to the point of moving it forward. I would also say, like, release the shame of the delay. Sometimes it feels like, well, man, it's too late. I shouldn't, am I too old? Am I not the right this, or am I not the right that? And I think this is all about a mindset shift. Yeah. So we have to think in a way that is more transformational and less transactional. Right. And so it requires a pause sometimes, but that doesn't mean that the dream has like expired or died. So just trust the timing. The right time often arrives when preparation meets opportunity. I have, again, gotten into rooms, gotten onto projects and things that on paper I probably shouldn't have had. But being in the right place at the right time and being the one that the ancestor has chosen to open the doors, create the transformation, I'm just always in the right place at the right time. So you'll know when it's the right time to proceed, but the dream won't just call you, it'll demand you to answer. So it'll be there, keep nurturing it, right? And when you do get to the place of being able to activate it, express gratitude for all the things that had to align for that to unlock for you.
Yeah, everything you said there is just marvelous. I love the fact that we're talking about feeding and nurturing our plans, and that your time is your time, and thinking in a transformational way and not a transactional way, so it's more sustainable. Yeah, and the other thing you said was preparation meets opportunity. We need to be prepared when the opportunity comes. Thank you so much for that. So finally, you come across to me very spiritually aligned, and I just wanted to understand, and for our guests also to understand, what is it that keeps you grounded, keep you confident, keeps you showing up, keeps you stepping forward and being who you are?
I love that. Thank you. Thanks for seeing me. Everything is intertwined for me. One of my previous coaches used to say, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And so I don't make decisions about business without first checking in spiritually. Is this aligned with me holistically? Not just one part, not just for the photo op or whatever the case may be, but is this going to activate everything that I say my own personal mission is, what I know my family will need in order to have the transformation? No more poverty, no more all the negative things that you can think about, no more of that. Like, we're wrapping that up. This is a new era now. This is a new legacy. And so, there's thinking with your heart, thinking with your mind, there's intuition. And so what guides you? How do you get centered? So I literally will sit down, I'll meditate. There are other things that I do. I have a spiritual room in my home. I go in there, it's completely zen in there. And I just kind of I go sit out in nature. I just kind of sit with the decisions that need to be made. Right. I evaluate, how will this affect not just me, but the people around me? And I think we have to get to a place where we can be more holistic in our thinking so that we make good decisions and not just the instant, like, I want to do this, and it's just more sporadic and not strategic. I am very strategic and I am very spiritual. And so those two things come together, and we have to kind of get ourselves into a space, especially in today's economic times. There has to be the creativity around, okay, if the answer is no over here, how do I creatively get the yes?
Yeah.
How do I push through that boundary to get to the other side of what's necessary? And it takes that spiritual elevation and just being connected to the source energy to be able to receive that. I believe answers are around us all the time. We are always surrounded by exactly what we need. But because we're so busy and so exhausted and burned out, we can't always receive them and see them for what they are.
Yeah. I think what I love about everything you said is just finding that calmness, and what calmness brings. It brings clarity. It brings reflection. It helps us to make clear decisions that are sustainable. And it's so important that people do take time out to rest, to think and reflect, and then they can make the right decisions. Tya, it's been such a great pleasure having you here with us today. I hope you really enjoyed yourself, because I certainly did.
I'm so grateful. I love doing these. So if you ever need me to come back, I'm happy to do it. I think this is all about inspiring the next person so that they can feel inspired to inspire the one after that. So I'm ecstatic that you invited me to be here. Thank you. I can't wait to see it.
So, guys, I hope you really enjoyed our session with Tya and paid attention to a lot of things she had to say. I'm always hearing that we women, we are afraid, and we need to step out, straighten that crown, show up, listen to the opportunities around you. And more importantly, we need to take time to reflect. We need to take time to pause and think about what it is we're doing. What is your purpose? What are you trying to give to the world? Tya spoke a lot about community. What are we giving to our community? It is important that we enjoy the benefits of our communities, but it's important to give back. I hope that you will be joining us on our next episode, but for now, it's goodbye.